I had told you I'd try to do something more holiday-ish for all you. I have my Santa hat on today, and my background is my Christmas tree. And I know this year's been a shitty year in 2020, and I think and there was a trend, it's not just me, everyone wanted to get their Christmas decorations up way earlier than normal. In fact, I got my Christmas tree like a week before Thanksgiving, which I've never done. I usually go to the Saturday after Thanksgiving, but every I just wanted to get that Christmas feel, that feeling, because Christmas feels good, right? Christmas feels very happy. So I did it, and I think a lot of other people around the world have done the same thing. So welcome to the holidays. Let's get started. As we always do, we look at the forecast. Not much has changed. It looks like it's going to be nice this weekend, and transitioning to next week will be raining. Not a lot of rain, but just a little. Well, Tuesday's a half an inch of rain. That's a lot of rain. Oh my goodness. As you guys know, things have been surging, not just only here in Seattle, King County, Washington State, but around the U.S. Yesterday, the U.S. reported its highest single-day virus death toll of 2,802. And if you calculate it out, one American was dying every 30 seconds yesterday. That's awful. And our dear leader is totally checked out. He doesn't care. Thank God we have Joe Biden coming. Can't come soon enough. Here's a great Morning Joe report on this unfortunate highest day death toll.
For coronavirus deaths. Tell us more, Mika.
According to NBC News, the NBC News tally, more than 2,800 people died yesterday from COVID-19. The previous record came just a day earlier when the country also saw the highest number of new infections and hospitalizations, and I don't believe we've seen the Thanksgiving results yet. Yesterday was the third straight day the nation reported more than 2,000 deaths in one day.
Yeah,
in one day.
Willie, again, it's just extraordinary. If you look at those numbers, and we were talking last hour about the fact that you look at those numbers, and it's a record.
Lord.
It's a record high. That's about the same number that we had on Americans dying on September the 11th. And of course, the country not only stopped in its tracks that day, but it guided us for the next decade. Here, 2,800 people died yesterday. 2,777 died the day before. You add the last 2 days up, and as we said last hour, more Americans died over the past 48 hours. More Americans died over the last 2 days of this pandemic than died over 2 decades of fighting in Afghanistan.
Yes, staggering. This is another thing that's going to be staggering. So this is the famous Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, headquartered here with the University of Washington. Their numbers have been damn accurate throughout this whole pandemic. Whatever their models are, they have a lot of mathematical models. They have a lot of factors that go into it, and that's why they keep on, improving their models. If they got something wrong, they improve the models. So right now we have 276,513 Americans that have died because of COVID. They do projections, and so they said if we go on our current way of living with masks required somewhere, not elsewhere. Basically, masks required in blue states, but not red states. We're going to see the death toll go to 538,893 by April 1st. 538,000. Okay, that's almost twice the number that we have today on December 20th. That isn't unheard of. But here we go. If we on the lower thing, if we, like, for example, if when Biden gets in, he says he's going to ask for a mandatory mask requirement. He can only do it in federal buildings, interstate travel, like airplanes and whatever, trains, etc. But you can't require it in, like elsewhere. But if all the governors would do this, if we had mandatory mask requirements, we could see the death toll drop down to 472,678. That is a saving of 66,215 lives just for mandatory masks. Isn't that incredible? These guys at the UW Institute for Health Metrics, they're very good. They're very good. In fact, if you track their projections, they're literally almost spot on within 1,000 or two. Whenever you go back and say, hey, what did they predict for December 20th? What did they predict for, December 5th? They are really accurate. So if we went, and I don't get, some people, I just don't get why people can't look at these. And, obviously they probably don't believe in science, but it's just common sense. Wear a mask, save 66,215 lives. Enough said. Let me get off my soapbox, but I think my audience here knows what I mean. Here is a great, Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney was reelected in New York. He's in actually kind of a Trump district, but he's won reelection. And he is been elected as the Democratic Congressional Congress Committee Chairman, which means he's responsible for getting more Congress people in the House elected for Democrats in 2022. Okay. And he's great. I love the fact that he tells well, hey, I'm a gay guy, I'm a gay guy that won in a Trump district. So I love when he threw that in, because I didn't know he was gay. And I don't think the Morning Joe Crudy was gay, but let's listen to Congressman Maloney and see what he says, how the Democrats can improve their chances for more seats in 2022.
Who will be the next chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Congressman, it's good to see you. Congratulations on your election to head up the DCCC, So what is your assessment of what happened on the House side? We've been talking about the presidential election. Didn't win many of those toss-up races, did Democrats, that you had hoped to win. Certainly didn't pick up all the seats that some were projecting you to pick up. So what happened from your point of view?
Yeah, that's an important question, and I think the honest answer is we don't really know, but I know how to find out. And there's a lot of opinions out there, and some of them are informed, and they probably all have some validity. And I've been here before. I've had to look at an election and learn the lessons and do it in a rigorous way. That's what I'm going to do, and so I think I'm going to keep my powder dry on this. But look, we're going to hold this majority and do better, and there are going to be lessons to learn. And one of them is that when your opponents are lying and caricaturing an issue as important as racial justice, we need to figure out a way to keep fighting for racial justice, but be smart and effective when they throw the kitchen sink at us. I get that. I'm in a Trump district. I have to play on the other side of the chessboard, and a lot of our members need to do that. And we're going to learn some lessons, and we're going to patch things up, and we're going to hold this majority. I
think you, Congressman, were on that caucus phone call a few weeks ago that was reported out by many people that some of the more moderate members, who some won re-election, some didn't, were pretty upset about a national message about socialism and defunding the police. And as you said, that caricature being applied to all Democrats who were running. So how do you overcome a national message from Republicans and, frankly, from Donald Trump that seems to have swamped the sort of race-by-race, district-by-district messages?
Yeah, so let's just be precise. When you say a national message from Republicans, what we're talking about is a bunch of lies and distortions and demagoguery about an issue as important as the murder of George Floyd, and whether some of us think we should do something about that, and whether they're willing to play short-term political games with something that important. And if that worked to get them a couple of seats, well, shame on them. But I'm proud of my team, the blue team, for standing up for racial justice. And if we need to be reminded that they're going to throw the kitchen sink at us, well, those of us in red seats who beat Republicans don't find that surprising. And the skill and the art of this game is to stand up for the right thing, to do something with the authority and the opportunity we're given, but be smart about it, build a real coalition, a relationship with our voters, so that when the lies and the distortions come, ordinary folks out there can say, that doesn't sound right.
And that's the thing. And unfortunately, they didn't have the part where he said, hey, I'm in a Trump district and I'm gay. He won, so he knows what he's talking about. But you're right. What happened was that the Republicans painted the Democrats as defund the police, even though we were talking about racial justice. Said, oh, therefore defunding the police, even though none of the Democrats were defunding police. But again, the Democrats didn't fight back with a more powerful message. They just kind of let it go. The other thing that the second thing that the Democrats kind of got tricked up on was socialism, communists. Socialism, communists. The Democrats are socialists, communists. And even Joe Biden said, hey, look at me. Do you think I'm a socialist? But unfortunately, for example, in Florida, Biden lost Florida by only 3 points. And guess what? There's a huge Cuban American and Venezuelan American population in South Florida. They fled their country because of socialism and communism. They voted for Trump, okay, because the Republicans kept on pointing out the Democrats are socialists, they're communists. And the Democrats have to fight back. They just kind of let that happen. That's how they lost Florida. Then the third thing was they kept on saying, well, yeah, Biden will get in, he'll just shut down the economy because of COVID. He'll just shut down the economy. It'd be stay-at-home orders for everybody. So those three things actually caused the Democrats to actually lose seats in the House and maybe caused them to not win the Senate seats. We're going to learn a lesson, and I believe that Congressman Maloney will do the right thing, and he'll get a lot more Democrats elected in 2022. Here's very good news for Boeing. Ryanair, which is the largest airline in Europe, ordered 75 more MAX jets. And here's their CEO, Michael O'Leary, that tells you why. Like he said, this 737 MAX is an outstanding plane. Fuel efficient, more seats. The environment inside the airplane is amazing for passengers, like from humidity perspective, air circulation perspective. But Boeing fucked up. Okay, Boeing fucked up with the AMCAS system that didn't train the pilots, international pilots, properly, which caused 2 unfortunate air crashes in Asia, South Asia, and in Africa. Well, let's hear what the announcement is.
At least one European airline is signaling a major commitment to the Boeing 737 MAX. Ryanair says it's buying 75 more jets, which is the biggest order since its grounding. And Cairo 7's Ranji Sinha went to Renton, where the assembly line will soon be humming.
I have been waiting for this aircraft now for 5 years. It brings me more seats, it burns less fuel, it has less emissions.
The head of Europe's largest airline didn't mince words when he signed his aircraft order and praised Boeing's workhorse of the skies, the 737 MAX.
And the team in Seattle will be able to deliver the first of these aircraft early in the spring.
Ryanair is all in on the MAX and its future flying across Europe. Michael O'Leary says dozens could be in the air by next summer, despite the recent grounding and safety concerns.
I cannot tell you how confident we are in the safety of this aircraft.
Boeing's big business news came within days of one of the biggest moments in company history. For the first time since March 2019, passengers flew on a demo flight of the 737 MAX. American Airlines says passengers could be flying on the MAX in a few weeks.
Our pilots, our mechanics, our flight attendants are all comfortable. It's ready to get in the air.
The MAX was grounded after 2 deadly crashes linked to a design flaw in an anti-stall system known as MCAS. The crashes killed 346 people.
We will never forget the accidents that put us in the place that we were, ever. We have reinstilled, reinvigorated, use any word you like, everything that has anything to do with safety.
Ryanair's chief acknowledged that COVID-19 has grounded air travel, and that issue played a factor in his order. Ryanair's total order rings up at $22 billion. But giving the MAX a seal of approval, especially after nearly 2 years of distress, is something money can't buy.
Let's look to the future and let's look what this aircraft will do for our customers and for our business.
A Boeing executive says 27 of Ryanair's aircraft are built, 13 are being assembled in Renton and across Boeing manufacturing. And he also said the aircraft order builds momentum for the assembly line going into the new year, and hopefully it'll be a boost to the Renton workforce working on the 737 MAX. In Renton, Ranji Sinha, Cairo 7 News.
That is great news, since obviously the Boeing 737 MAXs are built here in Renton, which means we have a lot of our fellow community members that work at Boeing. So this is a great thing. This is outstanding for Europe's largest airline to endorse Boeing by buying 74 MAX planes. It is now going to be a safe plane. They learned the lesson. Boeing fucked up. Okay, no, no bones about it. They fucked up, and they really made mistakes, and they have learned, unfortunately, paid a big price in terms of how much revenue they've lost and the loss of it. But now moving forward, I'm looking forward to going on my first 737 MAX. Here is a very big announcement. So Warner Pictures movies in 2021 will debut in theaters and on HBO Max the exact same day. Wow, that's going to be amazing. So you have to get an HBO Max subscription. I have one. It's like $15 a month. I split it with 3 people, so it's like only $5 a month. That's what you have to do. You can add like I think 4 or 5 people to your account. Just split it, and it'll be really cheap. But of course, it's easy for them to do because HBO Max is owned by Time Warner, which owns Warner Brothers. Okay, that's an easy one. But here's a little preview of what you're going to see in 2020.
There's something happening. In the next year, Warner Brothers Pictures is bringing you the biggest premieres.
So this is the Suicide Squad.
In theaters and streaming exclusively on HBO Max. The exact same day.
But then what now?
In theaters and streaming on HBO Max beginning December 25th.
So if that doesn't give you an incentive to subscribe to HBO Max, I don't know. And I do not get credit for, actually, if you put in the reference code Ernie Seattle, I'll get a kickback. I'm just kidding. I know. You think I promote HBO Max, but HBO Max has been an amazing, they make some amazing series as I've been promoting, like the Flight Attendant and Undoing. So I'm going to show you 3, I think 3, here we go. First one is a movie. It's been out. It was out last year, but it's now on Showtime. 1917. Oh my God, this is a very intense movie, but it's a great story about this is a true story. 2 soldiers that have to. This is World War I, so they had to go through the fields of France to get to Allied force to warn them not to attack because it was going to be an ambush by the Germans. Amazing cinematography, amazing acting, just amazing action. So we're going to show you a clip of that. Also, this is a very good movie, The Trial of the Chicago 7. If you don't remember, back in 1968, the Democratic Convention, again, this was right in the middle of the Vietnam War. So there's a lot of anti-war feelings. The Democratic National Convention was Chicago in August of that year. Massive riots, massive police intrusion from Mayor Richard Daley, who was an asshole. And the Nixon won the election, and Nixon's Attorney General, Mitchell, wanted to go after the supposed organizers of this. The Johnson administration chose not to do any charges because they didn't find any evidence. Well, Nixon and his crony Mitchell thought so. And it was kind of a sham trial. And this is a very good story about, how these 7 people were brought up to trial for conspiracy, out of federal crimes. This is a very good story. So here's a clip of that as well. And the last one is a good feel. Crazy Rich Asians. I know that movie's been out for like a year. But actually, when it came out last year, it made the most money for a romantic comedy in like 10 years. And it featured Asians and Asian Americans. This is amazing. It's a very good story, very good romantic comedy, and a very good story. So you'll see that as well. So let's see these 3 clips.
Blake, pick a man, bring your kit.
I hoped today might be a good day.
Hope is a dangerous thing.
You have a brother in the 2nd Battalion.
Yes, sir.
They're walking into a trap. Your orders are to deliver a message, calling off tomorrow morning's attack. If you fail, it will be a massacre.
Let's talk about this for a minute.
Why?
We've got orders to cross here.
That is the German front line.
If we're not clever about this, no one will get to your brother.
I will.
There's only one way this ends. Last man standing.
I'm going back to see my father.
We need to keep moving. Come on.
I'm going there, no more to run.
We can't possibly make it that way, man. You bloody insane.
If you don't get there in time, we will lose 1,600 men. Your brother among them. Good luck.
We want to underscore again that we're coming to Chicago peacefully, but whether we're given permits or not, we're coming.
We're going to Chicago to protest the Vietnam War.
And there's no place to be right now but in it.
We watched for a decade while these rebels without a job tell us how to prosecute a war. But they're going to spend their 30s in a federal facility, real time.
People say, you know, Abby, are you concerned about an overreaction from the cops?
Holy shit.
You all right?
I was until I saw that. Are the people ready to make opening arguments?
At the defense table, Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, Dave Dellinger, Rennie Davis, Lee Weiner, John Freund, Tom Hayden, and Bobby Seale.
These defendants had a plan, and the plan was to incite a riot.
I call this portion of the trial with friends like these.
My trial's begun without my lawyer.
The court assumes you are being represented by the Black Panther sitting behind you.
The riots were started by the Chicago Police Department.
Sustained.
Nobody objected.
Jurors 6 and 11, they're with us. Juror number 6 and juror number 11, you're dismissed from this jury.
Can you tell us why?
Because this is my courtroom.
We've dealt with jury tampering, wiretapping, a defendant that was literally gagged.
Get your hands off me!
You're the first to suggest that I have discriminated against a black man.
Then let the record show that I'm the second.
But when we walked in here this morning, they were chanting that the whole world is watching.
If we leave here without saying anything about why we came in the first place, it'll be heartbreaking.
Last summer, why did you come to the convention? To end the war.
We're giving them exactly what they want, a stage and an audience.
Yeah, you really think there's going to be a big audience?
Here I am! This is what revolution looks like, real revolution. We may have to hurt somebody's feelings.
Is this prosecution politically motivated?
I'm tired of hearing you.
It would be impossible for me to care any less what you are tired of.
Here I am! There will be order!
We have to find some courage now.
How much is it worth to you? What's your price?
To call off the revolution?
My life.
Open your eyes, 'cause a new day is dawning. The new day is dawning.
marriage. We've been dating for over a year now, and I think it's about time people met my beautiful girlfriend. What about us taking an adventure east?
Like Queens?
Singapore, Colin's wedding. Don't you want to meet my family?
I hardly know anything about them. Every time I bring them up, Nick changes the subject. Maybe his parents are poor and he has to send them money.
We'll take a bags and get you checked into first class.
Nick, we can't afford this. So your family is rich?
We're comfortable.
That is exactly what a super rich person would say.
Money.
1.2 million.
That's what I want.
The Nick you're dating is Nick Young? Yeah, you guys know them or something?
Hells yeah. They're just the biggest developers in all of Singapore.
That's what I...
Damn, Rachel. It's like the Asian Bachelor. These people aren't just rich. They're crazy rich. Oh, you really should have told me that you're like the Prince William of Asia.
That's ridiculous. Much more of a Harry. Mom, this is Rachel Chu.
She just thinks you're some like unrefined banana.
No. Those are a few fingers.
Yellow on the outside or white on the inside.
Do something crazy!
I chose to raise a family. For me, it was a privilege. But for you, you may think it's old-fashioned.
Don't you want Nick to be happy?
I know you're not what Nick needs.
She's like trying to play a game of chicken with me, thinking I'm gonna swerve like a chicken. But you can't swerve. You gonna roll up and be like, bok bok, bitch. Okay, maybe like not as aggressive.
I met a girl, I fell in love, and I want to marry her.
You're Nicholas Young. You're untouchable. But Rachel's not.
Have you prepped Rachel to face the wolves?
You know I'm back, like I never left.
I really admire you. It takes guts coming all the way over here, facing Nick's family.
Another day, another breath.
I know this much. You will never be enough.
Yo, it's about time someone stood up to Auntie Eleanor. Well, you, not me. Oh, God. She can't know I was ever here.
I feel glorious, glorious. Got a chance to start again. I was born for this, born for this.
Ever since I can remember, my family has been my whole life. Rachel! Rachel!
If Nick chose me, he would lose his family. And if he chose his family, he might spend the rest of his life resenting you.
You nasty. You kind of nasty. You got nastier.
Glorious, glorious. Got a chance to start again.
Hopefully you like those. I'm adding to your list every day. I'm adding to your list. I mean, your list is like this long. My list is long as well. Like I have all this list of things I want to see. There's not enough hours in the day, right? Unless you're unemployed. Well, I'm kind of employed right now, but anyway, hopefully you have a great Saturday, and we'll see you tomorrow.